The streetlights cast long shadows across Darius Jackson's face as he drove through the quiet neighborhood at 11:43 p.m. After 16 hours on a difficult homicide case, his eyes burned with fatigue. The radio played soft jazz while rain tapped a gentle rhythm on the roof of his sedan. Darius loosened his tie, thinking about the case files waiting for him tomorrow. At 42, he'd earned his reputation as one of the department's most dedicated detectives, with 15 years of exemplary service and the highest solve rate in the precinct. His mind wandered to his daughter's upcoming graduation as he turned onto Maple Street. He never noticed the cruiser pulling out behind him, lights suddenly flashing in his rearview mirror. Darius sighed and pulled to the curb, following procedure exactly as he'd done countless times from the other side. He rolled down his window and placed both hands on the steering wheel, visible, non-threatening. Standard protocol. Two officers approached, one on each side of his car. The taller one, with Reynolds on his nameplate, shined a flashlight directly in Darius's eyes. "License and registration," Officer Reynolds demanded, his tone unnecessarily harsh. "Good evening, officer," Darius replied calmly. "May I ask why I'm being stopped?" Reynolds scoffed. "You were swerving. Have you been drinking tonight?" Darius knew he hadn't been swerving. Not even close. "No sir, I haven't. I'm just heading home after work." The second officer, younger with Bennett on his badge, circled to the passenger window. "What's in the glove compartment?" he asked, hand resting on his holster. "Just my registration and insurance, which I'll need to access to provide to you," Darius explained patiently. "Step out of the vehicle," Reynolds ordered suddenly. "Officer, I haven't done anything wrong." "I'd like to," I said. "Step out." Reynolds's voice rose sharply. "Now." Darius felt a familiar knot forming in his stomach. He'd seen this scenario play out too many times, not as a cop, but as a black man. With deliberate movements, he unbuckled his seatbelt and reached for the door handle. Slowly. Bennett barked, now fully gripping his weapon. The rain fell harder as Darius stood on the wet pavement, streetlight illuminating the growing tension in this routine traffic stop that was anything but routine. "Hands against the car and spread your legs," Reynolds commanded, placing a firm hand on Darius's shoulder. Darius complied, the cold metal of his sedan pressing against his palms. "Officers, there seems to be a misunderstanding." "Shut up." Bennett snapped, beginning a rough pat-down. "What's in your pockets?" "My wallet, keys, phone. I don't remember asking for a list," Reynolds interrupted, jerking Darius's arm behind his back with unnecessary force. Darius winced. "Sir, you're hurting me." "Oh, now it's, you're hurting me," Reynolds mocked, exchanging a smirk with Bennett. "Should have thought about that before driving in this neighborhood." "This is my neighborhood," Darius stated firmly. "I live 3 blocks from here." Bennett laughed. "Sure you do. Nice car for this area. Where'd you get it?" The implication hung heavy in the rain-soaked air. "I purchased it," Darius replied, feeling his professional composure slipping as anger rose in his chest. "And I'd like to know what probable cause you have for this detention." Reynolds twisted Darius's arm higher. "Getting smart with us isn't going to help your situation." "My badge is in my inside jacket pocket," Darius stated firmly. "I'm Detective Darius Jackson, Major Crimes Division." Reynolds froze. "What did you say?" "I'm a police detective. If you'll allow me to reach inside my jacket, I can prove it." The officers exchanged nervous glances before Bennett nodded stiffly. With deliberate movements, Darius reached into his jacket and produced his gold shield. The raindrops caught the streetlight as they fell across the polished metal. "Detective Jackson," Reynolds read aloud, his voice suddenly much smaller. Bennett's hand dropped from his weapon. "Sir, we didn't, no?" Darius finished, his eyes hard as steel. "Or didn't care to ask before escalating a situation without cause?" The badge glinted between them like a mirror, reflecting uncomfortable truths in the night rain. "Detective, we apologize for the misunderstanding," Reynolds stammered, taking a step back. His posture transformed instantly, shoulders dropping, hands open, voice softening to a respectful tone. Bennett cleared his throat nervously. "We were just following protocol, sir." "Protocol?" Darius raised an eyebrow, tucking his badge away. "Tell me, Officer Bennett, does protocol include threatening language and excessive force during routine traffic stops?" Both officers stared at the ground, rainwater pooling at their feet. "No explanation for why I was pulled over in the first place." Darius pressed. "We thought. We assumed." Reynolds trailed off, unable to finish. "That's the problem, isn't it?" Darius straightened his jacket. "What you thought? What you assumed? Based on what, exactly?" The silence that followed spoke volumes, punctuated only by the steady rhythm of rain. Captain Elaine Washington's office felt too small for the conversation at hand. Darius placed his formal complaint on her desk alongside printouts of similar incidents. "This isn't isolated, Captain," Darius explained, pointing to the documents. "After filing my report, I pulled the data. Reynolds and Bennett have stopped 63 black drivers in that neighborhood this month alone. Only 8 white drivers. 0 citations issued to white drivers compared to 42 for black drivers." Washington frowned, scanning the evidence. "And the body camera footage?" "Conveniently malfunctioning during several stops," Darius replied. "But not last night. I've requested full access." "They'll fight this," Washington warned. "You understand what you're starting?" Darius nodded firmly. "I've been on both sides now, Captain. If I don't use my position to address this, who will?" The captain's phone rang. "The footage is ready," she announced after answering. 3 other officers have come forward," Darius added. "They've witnessed similar behavior but feared reporting it." Washington stood, determination in her eyes. "Then let's make sure they never have to fear doing the right thing again." 6 weeks later, Darius stood before the community center podium, facing a packed room of residents, officers, and media. Captain Washington sat to his right, next to Chief Garcia and Mayor Powell. "Today marks not an ending, but a beginning," Darius announced, his voice steady and clear. "Officers Reynolds and Bennett have been suspended pending further investigation. But this isn't about 2 officers. This is about a system that allowed their behavior to continue unchecked." Murmurs rippled through the crowd as Darius unveiled the new initiatives: mandatory body cameras with automatic upload protocols, a civilian review board with actual authority, comprehensive anti-bias training led by community members, and monthly public reporting of traffic stop demographics. "Most importantly," Darius continued, "we're establishing an anonymous reporting system for officers to safely report misconduct without fear of retaliation." In the front row, Mrs. Taylor, whose son had experienced similar profiling, wiped away tears. Beside her, 3 younger officers who had come forward after Darius nodded in solidarity. "Change doesn't happen overnight," Darius acknowledged. "But it doesn't happen at all unless someone takes the first step. Today, we're taking several." As the meeting concluded, a young black officer approached Darius. "What made you fight instead of just letting it go?" he asked quietly. Darius placed a hand on the young man's shoulder. "Because our badge means protecting everyone, including those who look like us when we're not wearing it." Outside, rain had given way to sunshine as community members and officers engaged in conversations that would have seemed impossible weeks before. Real change would require vigilance and courage, but for the first time in years, Darius felt something he hadn't expected to find in this situation: hope.